Thank you for joining us on Newsbeat. Here's a look at our top story: horrific discoveries in Northwest Indiana. 7 women found dead, including this woman linked to one man. We'll have the latest on this developing story.
A new empowerment group is created to help make positive changes in the lives of young people in Chicago neighborhoods. Plus,
it's a mother's fight to save her community after losing her son to gun violence. Newsbeat starts right now. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2014. I'm Jessica Lang.
And I'm Priscilla Lopez. Welcome to Newsbeat. We have a lot to talk about this Tuesday morning.
Developing news this morning, it started with one murder in Northwest Indiana, but the investigation led to a more horrifying discovery.
Police now think one man may have killed a total of 7 women or more. 35-year-old Anise Jones is one of the victims found dead in an abandoned house in Gary over the weekend. Police say information from a 43-year-old murder suspect led investigators to the bodies of 6 other women. Records show that Darren Dion Van is a convicted sex offender from Austin, Texas. Authorities say Van is being charged in connection with the murder of a 19-year-old woman discovered inside a motel in Hammond. Now the FBI is getting involved to determine if anyone else may have been involved in the murders. People living in the Chicagoland neighborhood are on high alert this morning after someone tried to lure 2 children away from their home. Police say the 10 and 12-year-olds were offered money to leave with the suspect, but they refused. Here's a police sketch of the suspect. The man ran after being spotted by one of the children's parents, and some neighbors, despite being chased, say the suspect got away. He was last seen in the area at 79th and Colmar.
One Evanston Mothers Club means much more than fun and games. It's her way of mourning the loss of her 14-year-old son who was shot and killed in a random act of violence.
The mother says she wants the club to make a positive impact and keep the kids off the streets.
Newsbeat's Kiana Johnson spent 2 days in Evanston at various events. She's live on Michigan Avenue with more on the Dajae Coleman Foundation. Kiana?
Thanks, guys. Tiffany Rice has dedicated this past year to creating programs ranging from family fun nights to discussions on violence. She is doing it to help her son and go forward. It's 7 p.m. on a Friday night. Instead of hanging in the streets, Evanston youth gathered at the Fleetwood Jourdain Center for a family night of skating, dancing, and arts and crafts. Representatives of local organizations were present, raising awareness of services for Evanston youth. It's part of the foundation's biggest events, the 2nd annual Dajae World Weekend to honor the memory of Dajae Coleman. He was known as a model student and athlete.
I think that the more things that we do like this, where families and kids and parents come together, it builds a stronger community, and I think that's the key to really solving violence in our communities.
But the fun didn't stop there. The following day, Dajae's teammates and family squared off against coaches in a basketball tournament at Evanston Township High School with special performances from Evanston Township Pumpkins and cheerleaders. A local author says the foundation is a good program.
In general, it's a complex issue. It has to do with family, has to do with government, has to do with the kids themselves making the right choices. But if you give them alternatives, it's so important.
It was an emotional day for Dajae's mother as she wiped tears from her eyes, thanking everyone for their support. Rice says interacting with the youth gives her the strength to move forward.
Without this, it would be hard. I would be kind of like debilitated and kind of like maybe disabled and not able to move on with my life and take care of my daughter and take care of my family.
During the year, the Dajae Coleman Foundation provides tutoring programs, summer reading initiatives, and college readiness programs. I'm live on Lake Michigan. Kiana Johnson, back to you guys.
Thanks, Kiana. 3 weeks and counting, the teacher strike in Waukegan continues. Teachers are out on the pick lines in force, lobbying for higher salary and better health benefits. The strike is keeping 17,000 students out of class. Right now, negotiations are on hold. Teachers are giving the district administration and the Board of Education time to write a new proposal. The school district says it's ready to get back to the table to try and end the strike as quickly as possible.
If you ride the CTA Blue Line, listen up. The Damen stop is now temporarily closed. Construction crews are working to modernize and repair one of the oldest stations in the system. The closure is part of the CTA's 4-year renovations of the O'Hare branch of the Blue Line that began earlier this year. While the station is closed, trains will bypass Damen and transport riders to the next station in either direction.
63 days. That's how long the Damen Blue Line station will be closed. The Damen Stop renovation is part of a $492 million CTA project. It's called Your New Blue. Some of the improvements include restoring the station's structure, installing new bike racks, and adding more turnstiles to improve commuter flow. The CTA says the station opened in 1895. For those of you doing the math, that's 119 years ago, the same year W.E.B. Du Bois became the first African American to get a PhD from Harvard. With that fact, many customers understand the closure is necessary.
We have to sacrifice, but it's going to make it better for everybody that commutes.
During construction, the CTA is encouraging riders to use the nearby Division and Western stops. It also added additional service on the number 56 Milwaukee bus to accommodate more riders. With the changes, customers should allow for extra travel time.
In Division is like 5 blocks there, so I need to wake up earlier for my work.
If all goes according to plan, the Damen station will reopen on December 22nd, which is sure to be a welcomed early Christmas gift for riders. Dancing, singing, and an overall good atmosphere. That's some of what the mood was like at Chicago's first annual We Day celebration.
The movement hopes to inspire young people to make positive changes in their neighborhoods and the world. Newsbeat Charles Jefferson of the We Day events. He's live on Michigan Avenue with more on what went on and what the impact of the events will be. Charles?
That's right, guys. We Day is an annual youth empowerment event organized by the Free the Children charity. It's the first time the event is being held here in Chicago, and given all the violence, organizers want to inject a new dose of hope in the Windy City.
When you hear that ambulance wail, and when you see that crime tape, the flashing lights, and more than a couple of cops, then you know it's a telltale sign that something is terribly wrong. But that's anything but the message at We Day, an event that inspires young people to become change agents. The celebration was held at Farragut High School in Little Village, where 700 students from 12 schools packed the auditorium. We Day founder Craig Kilberger kicked things off and served as the MC. He says We Day is about giving back and making the communities young people live in better.
We want them to learn in their school curriculum. We want them to volunteer, to raise awareness, to raise funds, to help serve. We want them to become active local citizens and global citizens.
The event also featured well-known speakers like Kwaku Mandela, Michael Ola, and Dr. Martin Luther King III, who had this message to give to the young people.
Say, be ashamed to die until you've done a little something to make the world in which we all must live a little better than it was when you arrived.
Now, this is the first time that We Day is here in Chicago, and event organizers are hoping to change the world, one young person at a time.
And We Day is just truly a great opportunity to go to. Like, if you get the chance to go to there, it's just amazing, and it really changed me. I really love it there.
That young girl was just one of many kids at We Day who's been volunteering and making a difference. Organizers say We Day can change Chicago and the world.
Help youth take action. Youth can change the world. We're very excited about it. Free the Children is a fabulous organization, and they're going to help our kids change the world.
Now, this is just the beginning. The main event will be held at the Allstate Arena in April, and in order to go, students must earn their tickets through community service and charity. It should be a great event. That's it. I'm Charles Jefferson, live on Michigan Avenue. Back to you.
Thanks, Charles.
Speaking of empowerment groups, early voting kicks off before the November 4th election. Right now, registered voters can go to a regional polling place in their area. Early voting is meant to boost voter participation. The voting period will end the Sunday before the election.
Picture yourself on a relaxing cruise throughout the Caribbean. See, sounds like a dream, right? But for thousands of people, the dream turned into a vacation nightmare. We'll tell you why next.
And later, talk about no excuses, an inspirational story about a young boy who golfs despite his physical challenges. That story and more after the break.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
The passenger who worked on Ebola patient Thomas Duncan tested negative for the deadly disease. The woman was on a Carnival cruise, which carried roughly 4,000 passengers. It was supposed to go to Mexico, but fear prompted cruise officials to stop it. Despite the passengers' negative results, cruise officials say they will completely clean the ship.
The CDC has told us that because she was never infected, that we didn't have to take any special precautions, but notwithstanding, because we want to give the embarking guests an added level of comfort and confidence, we're doing everything possible to do an aggressive sanitation protocol on the ship. So we're cleaning everything down from the handrails, the doorknobs, to the poker chips in the casino.
On Friday, the cruise rose with free its clearance and docked in Cozumel, Mexico. Many passengers say the blood test coming up negative was the highlight of their trip.
America is still helping push ISIS back. The U.S. is increasing the number of airstrikes near Kobani in Syria this week. Last weekend, the U.S. military carried out a total of 15 airstrikes in Syria. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, at least 7 civilians were killed during those attacks, and another 3 were killed by airstrikes targeting oil fields. A U.S. military official says despite its efforts, Kobani could still fall into ISIS hands.
Chicago streets are cleaning up, and you might be dazzled by how it's happening.
How firearms and fine jewelry will help decrease violence in Chicago. You won't want to miss how the city is doing it.
Halloween is upon us, and one of its most well-known characters stars in yet another scary movie. We'll tell you if this flick is worth the price of admission. And a New York medical. Okay.
Body language. Without saying a word, it can tell you so much. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time. Time to call 911 immediately. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Learn the body language, the sudden signs, and spot a stroke fast.
A New York medical examiner revealed the cause of Joanne Rivers' death. A report stated the comedy legend died from therapeutic complication. It also mentions Rivers' low blood oxygen during a medical procedure, which led to brain damage. Rivers was recently buried in New York last month.
An Ebola costume is stirring up mixed reactions on social media. The costume site, Brands on Sale, is selling an Ebola containment suit. The $80 costume includes a face shield, breathing mask, safety goggles, and blue latex gloves. A dozen costumes have been sold since it went on sale October 8th.
All the Ghostbusters lovers probably miss Dr. Raymond around the Halloween season. Our Newsbeat producer Maylene Jean finds out what's happening with Hollywood actor Dan Aykroyd.
I love my community. I don't look back with anything but respect for my fellow actors and writers and directors and producers, and I'm very grateful for the career that I have. Very, very grateful. I have no regrets and no bitterness at all.
Felt the warmness brought by him this past Sunday in Naperville. He signed autographs for fans for 5 hours straight without any breaks at Hollywood's Palms Theater. Besides the Ghostbusters, Blues Brothers, all the unforgettable comedies in the past, fans are curious about his feature film and hoping to see more of his comedies. He told Maylene that he would like to give more opportunities to younger generations.
Luke Evans stars in a new film, Dracula Untold, hit theaters October 10th. The film combines royalty with the vampire world while exploring where Dracula came from.
Is this fantasy drama worth the price of admission? News reporter Elizabeth DeRue is here to fill us in. Sorry.
Dracula Untold could have been a comedy, although that's probably not what director Gary Shore was going for.
My father was a great man. A hero, so they say. Sometimes the world doesn't need another hero. Sometimes what it needs is a monster.
You are alive because you can fight! You are alive because of what I did to save you!
Drink, Dracula.
Welcome to your life.
Dracula Untold is a fitting name. I left the theater feeling like I wasn't told anything about the monster. All I could think about was the cheesy script and the bad special effects. Dracula Untold was not worth the price of admission. I'm Elizabeth DeLue.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, it's been a gloomy and cold start to the fall season this year.
We've got Patty Boskin here with your weather forecast. Patty, are there still a chance of enjoying pumpkin patches and less freezing weather?
Absolutely. Hang in there, Chicago, because there is some sunlight at the end of the tunnel and plenty of time to hunt down that perfect pumpkin. Let's take a look outside. We've got a beautiful live shot of the Buckingham Fountain. Even though it is off for the winter and fall season, it's drizzling outside, but we've got some good news coming up. And today we've got mostly cloudy skies. Our temperatures will be peaking at about 55 degrees today, but that's okay because that's not the worst we've had around this time of year. There will be some lake effect clouds drifting across the lake, and those ones are what's going to be keeping us in the mid-50s today. There are a possibility of some brief showers, but I wouldn't worry because those clouds will be floating away by the end of the day. And for tonight, we want to look at precipitation. We've got 10% chance of precipitation, 69% humidity, and there are going to be winds rolling through at 9 miles per hour, so definitely bundle up as our temperatures drop to the low 40s. And for Midway, O'Hare, Aurora, we're all at 54 high. We've got a low of 34 degrees in Bartlett, so Bartlett, please bundle up, and a high of 50 at Waukegan. And for the 5-day forecast, we've got 63, mostly cloudy skies on Wednesday, and a low of 40 degrees. Thursday, we've got some showers coming in, so be prepared for that, although we will be at 67 degrees. Friday, we're looking at 68 degrees. mostly cloudy, gray skies, and look at that beautiful weather on Saturday. You definitely want to get out there and enjoy that 72-degree weather. It's going to be great, but Sunday we do come crashing down back into reality with low temperatures, so definitely be prepared for that.
You think I can break out my shorts?
You know, I would advise you not to in case you don't want to get sick like me, but go ahead, do whatever you want.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank you. From rifles and revolvers to dazzling rings, the Cook County Sheriff's Office is teaming up to get guns off the street and back into our homes in a whole new way.
What do you do with hundreds of legal seized guns? The City Solutions was meant to do nothing until now. 1,500 guns and ammunition are collected each year in the city of Chicago as gun violence hits record highs. The Boys in Blues are partnering up with Liberty United to turn the tables on criminals and give back to the community. Firearms no longer needed for investigations will be melted down and repurposed into dazzling jewelry. 20 to 25% of proceeds will go to nonprofit groups that fight high crime and violence around the city. Bracelets, rings, and necklaces will range from $35 up to $1,600. Here's what's happening after the break. We have the recap of the Bears' devastating loss to the Miami Dolphins this weekend. Sports reporter Ashley Richardson will have the details after the break, and then
he's not your average toddler. Find out what's so special about this 3-year-old golfer when we return.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
A big weekend in sports, plus a lot to look ahead to this week.
We got hockey and the World Series. We have Newsbeat's Ashley Richardson here to tell us all about what's going on in sports. Ashley, what's going on with the Bears?
Thank you, guys. The Bears had a tough loss to Miami at home. The locker room seems to be a poisonous environment, and players and fans alike are calling for a change. Now let's get right into the game. Cutler had arguably one of his worst performances to date. Early on, the Dolphins take the lead. They seem to be marching down the field with ease. Miami up 14-0. The Bears answer back with a touchdown. Cutler to Forte. The Bears' 2 scoring drives were no matchup for Ryan Tannehill and the Dolphins. Final score 27-14. The Bears are now 3-4. The Blackhawks season is off to a good start. The Hawks take on Nashville at home. Take a look at this. Nicholas Jomerson to Johnny Odiu. Odiu scores. Hawks up 1-0. A few minutes later, the Predators score, tying the game up 1-1. Hawks skate by and come up with the win. Final score 2-1. The Blackhawks take on the Predators again Thursday in Nashville. History is made. Manning passes Brett Favre for the most touchdown passes ever with 509. Peyton Manning proves he's one of the greatest to ever play the game once again. Watch this. Manning passes the ball to Demaryius Thomas. Thomas with a touchdown. Players helped Manning celebrate the milestone by making a video montage congratulating him. Now, real quick, San Francisco takes on Kansas City in Game 1 of the World Series matchup tonight. Next, Archie Manning has stepped down from the College Football Playoff Committee due to health issues. And finally, LA King Slava Voinov has been suspended indefinitely following his domestic violence arrest. Been quite the week for Bears fans everywhere.
Yeah, I heard that they were booing them during a game.
Fans were outraged. Brandon Marshall was outraged. His locker room speech is epic. You know, he's right. It's unacceptable. We've got to do something.
Well, I'd be mad too. 0-3 at home. That's terrible. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
At 18 months, little Tommy Morrissey picked up the game of golf, but that's not what makes him so unique.
Tommy was born with a short arm, which he calls Nemo. Tommy was born with a short arm, which he calls Nemo, and this past weekend, he participated in a paralong drive competition. Despite his arm, his killer swing inspires everyone he knows. That is so inspirational.
What a cute kid. I hope he does well.
He will.
That's our show for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Lang.
And I'm Priscilla Lopez. We'll see you next time right here on Newsbeat.